accidentally traversing the world of the divine eagle heroes, obtaining a blood letter, and setting foot on Mount Zhongnan. I didn't expect to be persuaded to quit by Qiu Chuji. So he turned his head and joined the Ancient Tomb Sect. At the beginning, he apprenticed to the little dragon girl, received systematic assistance, practiced divine skills, faced the Quanzhen Taoist, and crossed the heavens and all realms. Current world. The ghost of a beautiful girl. Future world. Do Pa, Zhutian, perfect world, sword and fairy, journey to the west, etc. World past. Divine condor heroes, heavenly dragon babu. Keywords of the novel. Zhutian. Beginner's Apprentice Xiaolongnu. No pop-up window, Zhutian. Beginner's Apprentice Xiaolongnu TXT Complete Collection Download, Zhutian. Beginner's Apprentice Xiaolongnu Latest Chapter Reading. Chapter 1. At the Foot of Mount Zhongnan, New Book for Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. At the Foot of Mount Zhongnan, New Book for Collection. At the foot of the towering Zhongnan mountain, a young man slowly walked towards the dawn light. He was dressed in a tattered straight-front long shirt, with tattered grass shoes on his feet. Although he looked only 15 or 16 years old, his body was covered in the dust of the journey, appearing somewhat weathered. He struggled to climb slowly to the foot of the mountain. When he saw the stone tablet at the foot of Mount Zhongnan, a few excited expressions suddenly appeared in his eyes. Finally arrived, Mount Zhongnan. The boy's name is Li Yuan. He is not an indigenous person of this world. 3 days ago, he fainted from a live electric shock while repairing the power switch at home. After a series of efforts by doctors to save him, he ultimately died due to ineffective rescue efforts, and then his soul pierced into this world. Fortunately, after crossing over, he inherited the body of a 15-year-old boy with a similar appearance to his previous life. In this world, Li Yuan's entire family has just been exterminated. So let's just consider him an orphan. As for who the enemy is, he is currently unclear. The only inheritance left for Li Yuan is a blood letter. Leaving a message in the blood book, he went to Zhongnan mountain to seek the guidance of Changchun Jinren Qiu Chuji, one of the 7 sons of Quanzhen, who was one of Quanzhen's disciples. Fortunately, in the future, he would seek revenge for his Li family. Although this blood letter helped him understand that this was the martial arts world of the divine eagle heroes, Li Yuan was actually a bit frustrated about it. If you want to become a teacher, then you need to become a teacher. But if you don't even indicate your enemy in the blood book, how should you seek revenge? But it doesn't matter. After all, Li Yuan came from time travel, and his mind is the mind of modern people. It is not too late for him to seek revenge against his enemies after he has learned all his martial arts skills. Later, Li Yuan dragged his tired body and walked step by step towards Quanzhen Sect on the Zhongnan mountain. On the way up the mountain, he met several disciples of the Quanzhen Sect who were guarding the mountain. These mountain guarding disciples all had a serious face and conducted a rigorous questioning of Li Yuan. This kind of questioning is very detailed. From family background to age, it's almost like asking whether Li Yuan is male or female. Fortunately, Li Yuan has been well prepared for this in the past few days, providing a complete and detailed account of his family background and the purpose of going up the mountain. After hearing Li Yuan report the name Qiu Chuji, the disciples guarding the mountain did not act recklessly, but someone took the initiative to bring Li Yuan into the Quanzhen sect. After the mountain guarding disciple took Li Yuan to a side hall within the Quanzhen sect, he said, "Elder is currently practicing in Kaijing. Please wait a moment." Wait a moment. 3 or 4 hours passed quietly. Xin Li Yuan is a traveler, calm and composed, otherwise he would have been a real 15 or 16-year-old boy and would have been unable to withstand it long ago. But this side hall is located away from the cold and dark, and there is no sunlight even at noon. In addition, Li Yuan has not practiced any martial arts yet, and he is wearing a thin straight collar, which makes him shiver with cold. Just when Li Yuan felt a bit bored, an old Taoist wearing a crown scarf, a dark Taoist robe, and white beard and hair walked in briskly. This person is one of the 7 sons of Quanzhen, Changchun Zi Qiu Chuji. Qiu Chuji lowered his head and glanced at Li Yuan. He asked lightly, "Are you the descendant of Li Ao from the Li family escort agency in Shaanxi?" Qiu Chuji felt a sense of superiority when facing Li Yuan, who had no martial arts skills and looked only a teenager. But for the sake of the future, Li Yuan quickly stood up and respectfully bowed before answering, returning to Changchun, "I am Li Yuan, a descendant of the Li family." Later, Li Yuan handed the blood book in his hand to Qiu Chuji. After checking, Qiu Chuji frowned unconsciously and said, "So, the Li family's escort agency has been destroyed. So far, you are the only descendant of the entire Li family left." "Yes." "What about the property of the escort agency, such as land deeds and silver?" "All of them were taken away by the enemy, and I was lucky enough to survive." "Oh, I see." Qiu Chuji made a long sound. Li Yuan suddenly felt uneasy in his heart. Sure enough. At this moment, Qiu Chuji said, when Li Ao was young, he had some fate with the Quanzhen sect. He had exchanged martial arts with his master Wang Chongyang, and I had discussed martial arts with him. However, I never thought that today would be a forever farewell between heaven and humanity. You are Li Ao's descendant, and theoretically I should guide you, but the enemy of the Li family is highly skilled in martial arts, and even Li Ao can kill him. I'm afraid even if you learn the martial arts of the Quanzhen sect, you won't be able to seek revenge in the future. It's just an increase in gratitude and enmity. Speaking of which, Qiu Chuji continued in a light and ethereal tone, it's better to settle an enemy than to settle one. Since all the Li family members have died except for you, don't think about seeking revenge. You can go down the mountain and change your name and surname, farm or do a small business, and become an ordinary person. Upon hearing these words, Li Yuan had already cursed Qiu Chuji, this seemingly righteous old bastard, in his heart. It's not about oneself, hang high. Before coming to Quanzhen sect, Li Yuan had already considered many possibilities. But only to his surprise, he couldn't even join the Quanzhen sect. Especially when Qiu Chuji heard that he had not inherited any property such as land deeds and silver, which was not profitable, he immediately turned his face and was simply a righteous martial arts scumbag. This old man's tone was light and gentle, urging him not to practice martial arts, and even changing his name and surname, which was simply insulting him. The so-called Changchun immortal, with a noble and righteous reputation, is truly ridiculous. After Li Yuan became angry, he also reacted. This is the world of the legendary heroes in the novel, and although the world is vast, it is still a place that values human relationships and worldly wisdom. Here, Qiu Chuji is just a Taoist of Quanzhen Taoism, not a great sage who works for the country and the people. This kind of performance makes some sense. After all, if we take him as our disciple, it will not only bring no benefits to the Quanzhen sect, but also secretly add a powerful enemy who knows no name or origin. This is a bad thing for the entire Quanzhen religion. Thinking about the causes and consequences, Li Yuan stood up straight and walked directly towards the outside. If you don't leave me here, there will be a place for me to stay. With such a large martial arts world, I don't need to fight here. There are other places in this world where I can apprentice. Thinking of other places where he could apprentice, Li Yuan's mind twitched and he immediately thought of the ancient tomb on Zhongnan mountain, which was located with Quanzhen sect. Yeah, the ancient tomb where Xiaolongnu is located is also a great religion, created by Lin Chaoying, who was on par with Wang Chongyang in the past. Moreover, the stinky Taoists of this Quanzhen sect are so snobbish. Compared to the isolated Xiaolongnu's tomb, it is simply a pure holy land, and it is also extremely clean, suitable for early development. With this in mind, Li Yuan demonstrated his acting skills and immediately turned to Qiu Chuji with a sad expression on his face. Changchun Jinren, you said that my father Li Ao has a friendship with Chongyang Jinren, so I want to erect a tomb for him on the back mountain of Quanzhen sect. Do you think it's okay? When Qiu Chuji heard Li Yuan say so, it was not easy to refuse. After all, Li Ao from the Li family did have some friendship with Wang Chongyang back then. Now he has turned away the request of Li Yuan, a descendant, to become a disciple. If he refuses even the small request of erecting the Yiguan tomb, it really seems that Quanzhen sect is too ruthless when it comes to rumors. Considering this, he nodded and said, "Go ahead." Qiu Chuji ordered Zhao Zhijing, the third-generation disciple of Quanzhen sect, to bring Li Yuan to the back mountain of Quanzhen sect. This is a forbidden area of Quanzhen sect. Because deep in the back mountain is connected to the ancient tomb, it is the territory of the ancient tomb. According to the ancestral teachings left by Wang Chongyang, the Quanzhen cultivator stops here and cannot exceed one step. Zhao Zhijing said to Li Yuan with a cold expression on his face, "Kid, let's set up the Yiguan tomb here, don't move forward." "I think the feng shui there is better," Li Yuan said with an innocent expression, pointing to a forest deeper in the back mountain that belongs to an ancient tomb. Zhao Zhijing's muscles in his eyes visibly twitched twice, and he said coldly, "No, we can't go in there. It's a forbidden area of the Quanzhen sect. Besides, you're an orphan. It doesn't make any sense to stand there with your clothes and clothes." Zhao Zhijing has a selfish and despicable personality. Compared to Qiu Chuji, this guy openly dislikes Li Yuan. Because in his eyes, Li Yuan is just a teenager of 15 or 16 years old and has no right to let him lead the way. Li Yuan didn't argue with Zhao Zhijing, but calmly said, "Zhao Daochang, I hope that when your family dies in the future, you can also be treated like this by others." Zhao Zhijing suddenly became angry. "Stinky kid, you orphan, how could you talk to me like this? Look at me if I don't break your mouth." There is no one to watch over the back mountain, and knowing that Li Yuan is now an orphan, Zhao Zhijing naturally said he would fight. Of course, Li Yuan would not stand foolishly and fight Zhao Zhijing, but instead exerted his strength to feed him, and with a flick of his legs, he ran vigorously into the territory belonging to the ancient tomb. Li Yuan has not yet practiced lightness skills, even though he has used all his strength, his speed is not very fast. But because this was a forbidden area of the ancient tomb, Zhao Zhijing was still stunned and did not pursue Li Yuan for a while. But at this moment, Li Yuan turned around and sneered, "Zhao Daochang, I was wrong just now. I wish you the same opportunity as me to erect a tomb for your whole family in the future." Zhao Zhijing's face and muscles trembled, and his face turned black, completely unable to hold on. Li Yuan is cursing his whole family not to die easily. Then he stepped on both feet and used the golden goose technique to rush into the ancient tomb territory, chasing after Li Yuan. Two people chased and fled. Li Yuan gasped for breath, but his eyes were looking around. He angered Zhao Zhijing for no reason. To enter an ancient tomb, there must be a suitable excuse. In the original work, Dongguo broke into the ancient tomb precisely because he was suppressed by various forces in the Quanzhen sect and accidentally escaped to the forbidden area in the back mountain before being taken in by Grandma Sunday. Later, with Grandma's son's full assistance, he successfully worshipped the ancient tomb. Li Yuan now has a tragic fortune, and Qiu Chuji did not take him in during difficult times, which also led to a conflict with Quanzhen sect. We still need a Quanzhen Taoist who is directly bullying and pursuing him. This Zhao Zhijing is the target that Li Yuan is using. But at this moment, a cold sound suddenly rang in Li Yuan's ear. The system is fully charged, system is currently on, detecting the host's environment, random task. Apprentice little dragon girl, task reward. 1 bronze treasure chest, what? I actually have a system. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Little Dragon Girl, new book for collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Little Dragon Girl, new book for collection. Li Yuan's expression froze as he listened to the system sound that had just appeared in his ear. Your system is too deceitful. Other people's systems appear immediately after time travel, and you have made me wait for several days. I plan to wander the world alone, do you know? The system is silent. Then a response came. The system needs time to integrate with the host. Given the current situation, the system will compensate the host with a free bronze treasure chest. Congratulations to the host. You have obtained a bronze treasure chest. Do you want to open it? There's compensation. That's about it, then open the treasure chest. Bronze treasure chest opening. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a copy of the Nine Yang Manual. What, it's the Nine Yang scripture, a good thing. There are fragments of the Nine Yin Manual in the ancient tomb, but I don't know that these two instincts can't be practiced together. But at this moment, Li Yuan suddenly felt his body hanging in the air. He turned around and saw that Zhao Zhijing had picked him up from the collar with a fierce smile on his face. Li Yuan was inevitably distracted while conversing with the system, and his foot speed slowed down significantly. And Zhao Zhijing, who was chasing him behind him, was blessed with the Jin Yen lightness skill of Quanzhen Sect. He quickly approached and successfully caught him. Li Yuan's face twitched twice. He only has 2 words to say about the suddenly awakened system, pit dad. If it weren't for the sudden awakening of the system, he would at least be able to procrastinate for a while, at least wait until the grandmother.in.law or little dragon girl in the ancient tomb appears. Now it's good. I was caught by Zhao Zhijing before running 2 steps. Zhao Zhijing had a fierce expression on his face as he stared at Li Yuanhan and said in a cold voice, "Kid, you dared to curse my whole family just now. I want you to look good." He raised his palm and was about to hit Li Yuan in the face. At this moment, the Nine Yang Manual that I have just drawn is of no use. The current crisis can only be solved by Li Yuan himself. In the midst of the crisis, Li Yuan's eyes remained extremely calm, and he almost immediately thought of a way to delay. He shouted loudly, "Zhao Zhijing, I have scars on my face. Aren't you afraid that when I go back, Changchun will find out that you, a 3rd-generation disciple of the Quanzhen Sect, have bullied me, an orphan? If this matter spreads, you really won't be afraid of losing the reputation of the Quanzhen Sect's orthodox sect." As Li Yuan shouted out these words, Zhao Zhijing was really stunned. But then he sneered and said, "Hee, you kid reminded me. You're an orphan. If I take action against you and let Master Qiu find out, it's really not good. Maybe I'll be punished. So why don't you let go quickly?" Zhao Zhijing sneered and said, "Let go? Aren't you going to set up a tomb of clothes and crowns? Today, I will bury you in this forbidden area of the Quanzhen Sect, and it will be better not to be discovered by Master Qiu. That's how it is to cut down the grass and eradicate the root." Zhao Zhijing is truly a villain. At this moment, all the murderous thoughts on his face were revealed without any disguise, and his face appeared particularly fierce. However, at the same time, a hoarse old female voice rang out in the deep woods of the ancient tomb territory. Undoubtedly, they are the stinky Taoists of the Quanzhen Sect, one by one claiming to be righteous but doing things behind their backs that are inferior to pigs and dogs. They are despised. An old woman wearing a grey coat, with an old face and a limp body, walked out of the forest. She stared at Zhao Zhijing and Li Yuan in Zhao Zhijing's hands, with a hint of anger in her eyes. "You're really shameless. Do disciples of the Quanzhen Sect now like to bully the weak like this? Even a child of this age wants to be murdered." Zhao Zhijing's eyes slightly changed when he saw Grandma Sunday. He quickly put away his killing intent and said, "I turned out to be a senior of the Ancient Tomb Sect. I am the 3rd-generation disciple of the Quanzhen Sect, Zhao Zhijing. I had no intention of entering the territory of the ancient tomb, so I will leave now." After speaking, Zhao Zhijing forcefully pulled Li Yuan away from here. But at this moment, Li Yuan's acting skills exploded and he shouted loudly, "Grandma, help. This stinky Taoist from Quanzhen Sect is going to kill me and silence me. I'm not from Quanzhen Sect, he wants to kill me." It is not realistic to directly conquer little dragon girl in order to join the ancient tomb. Because the little dragon girl at this moment is probably still a 3-no fairies, she is not human at all. Basically, men are not allowed to join the ancient tomb. Only with the help of Grandma Sun's power can we significantly refresh our favorability and increase our chances of joining the ancient tomb and learning from little dragon girl. Upon hearing Li Yuan's cry for help, the grandmother.in-law's eyes were filled with anger. Good, Zhao Zhijing, the third-generation disciple of the Quanzhen sect. It's like a demonic act, trying to take this innocent child away from me. The Quanzhen sect disciples are really getting worse and worse from generation to generation. Grandmother leaped high and reached forward with both hands, using a set of ancient tomb punches and palms. Suddenly, Zhao Zhijing retreated step by step, using the body of a goose. Zhao Zhijing didn't wear a sword and pulled on Li Yuan with one hand, making it inconvenient for him to perform his martial arts. During the confrontation, he was accidentally stunned and was hit by Grandma Sun's punches and palm at the tiger's mouth. Although grandmother is just a maid in the ancient tomb, she also learned the essence of martial arts in the tomb over a long period of time, and her strength is at least on par with the last elder among the 7 sons of Quanzhen. Although Zhao Zhijing also has some martial arts skills, he is only a 3rd-generation disciple of Quanzhen sect. He quickly released Li Yuan in pain. Zhao Zhijing's eyes were gloomy. He knew that his grandmother.in-law was sheltering him today and he could no longer solve Li Yuan. Therefore, his face was gloomy. He took 3 steps and quickly used his lightness skills to escape. Grandmother saved Li Yuan but did not pursue Zhao Zhijing. After all, although she appears to be able to compete with Zhao Zhijing, she is ultimately afraid of being young. It's hard to say who will truly fight to the death against Zhao Zhijing, who is in her prime, as an elderly person. Grandmother first checked Li Yuan for any injuries. After confirming that Li Yuan was not injured, she breathed a sigh of relief. Subsequently, the grandmother.in-law asked about the causes and consequences of Li Yuan and Zhao Zhijing's actions against him. Li Yuan had a sorrowful expression on his face and spoke in a mournful tone about the various ups and downs he had experienced in the past few days. The family was wiped out by enemies, leaving only him. The blood letter was left as a trust orphan but was ruthlessly rejected by Qiu Chuji. In the end, he thought of setting up a clothes and crown tomb on the mountain behind the Quanzhen sect, but Zhao Zhijing refused to kill him. Although it was only a short 3-day journey, it did not affect Li Yuan's performance. Because these are all first-hand experiences, very real. During the narration, Li Yuan had a billion bit of artistic elements about his personal experience and the negative image of Quanzhen Taoism. A very successful portrayal of a tragic young man who is helpless, lonely, but also subjected to various oppression from top to bottom by the Quanzhen sect. Compared to Yanghua, it is much more tragic. At least it sounds like it has reached a catastrophic level. This made the kind-hearted grandmother.in-law listen with tears in her eyes. She grabbed Li Yuan's hand and said, "Li Yuan, don't be afraid. Quanzhen doesn't want you, the ancient tomb keeps you. In the future, you'll stay in the ancient tomb. With your mother.in-law around, no one dares to bully you." Then Grandma's son led Li Yuan into the ancient tomb. In the central chamber of the ancient tomb, there sat a dreamy woman. Her hair is like a waterfall, her face is extremely bright, and she is dressed in a white light veil. Her delicate figure is about to emerge. The whole person is so perfect that there is no flaw to be picked out. Despite being a stunning beauty in the mortal world, the overall appearance carries a hint of immortal aura that is detached from the mundane world. Li Yuan knew in his heart that this should be the legendary little dragon girl. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Apprentice Little Dragon Girl, New Book for Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Apprentice Little Dragon Girl, New Book for Collection. There was no emotional fluctuation in Xiaolongnu's eyes. Perhaps due to the 12 little martial arts techniques of the ancient tomb, her pair of big eyes are exquisitely clear and beautiful. But deep in his eyes, there was no trace of smoke and fire, like a cold iceberg, isolating people from 1,000 miles away. She looked at Li Yuan behind her grandmother.in.law and asked lightly, grandmother.in.law, who is this young man? Don't you understand the rules of the ancient tomb? No men are allowed to enter here. Please invite him out quickly. The voice of little dragon girl is very ethereal, as if the stream is babbling, extremely beautiful. But as soon as she spoke, she expressed her intention to drive Li Yuan away. Upon hearing what Xiaolongnu said, the grandmother.in.law quickly approached and explained Li Yuan's background and current situation to Xiaolongnu. In Grandma's son's eyes, Li Yuan was extremely tragic and a child who needed to be taken in. But no matter how much Grandma's son tried to describe Li Yuan's current tragic situation, Little Dragon's cold expression remained unchanged. Li Yuan's tragic experience did not stir any waves in her. What does others do to me? What does it have to do with ancient tombs? This is the current state of Little Dragon Girl. A little dragon girl in this state, her heart is no different from 1,000-year-old ice, and the life and death of others do not attract her attention at all. If there is any difference between the mindset of Little Dragon Girl and Cold Ice now, it is that she can breathe, while Millennium Cold Ice cannot. Grandma's son hesitated for a long time, then hesitated and said, Miss Long, letting Li Yuan leave now is undoubtedly sending him to death. Maybe the disciple of the Quanzhen Sect, Zhao Zhijing, is waiting outside to catch him. Once he falls into Zhao Zhijing's hands, he will definitely suffer a fatal disaster. He is alive or dead, has nothing to do with the ancient tomb, isn't he? Xiaolongnu responded calmly, not even looking at Li Yuan. Grandmother finally felt a little annoyed as she couldn't persuade Xiaolongnu. After all, she just promised Li Yuan to leave him in the ancient tomb and take care of him. If Xiaolongnu doesn't let Li Yuan stay in the ancient tomb now, Grandma's son, as a big person, won't be able to save face. So she gritted her teeth and said, Miss Long, I haven't asked you anything since I've been in the ancient tomb for so many years. Can't I just ask you to take in this poor child and let him live peacefully in the tomb now? Xiaolongnu stopped speaking, but her indifferent and icy gaze indicated her position. Grandmother's personality is actually a bit stubborn. But over the years, she has been pretending to be a servant of the ancient tomb and has never had any conflicts. Today, Xiaolongnu's behavior has made Grandma's son feel a bit frustrated. She immediately stopped talking and decided to take Li Yuan away from the ancient tomb to seek a way out. At this point, neither Xiaolongnu nor Grandma's son gave in, making the atmosphere inside the ancient tomb a bit cold. But whether it's Little Dragon Girl or Grandma's son, deep down in their hearts, they all hope for a better solution. But in this situation, neither of them can open this gap. Little Dragon Girl is ignorant of human affairs and worldly wisdom. Although the grandmother.in.law is kind-hearted, her personality is also somewhat stubborn. Moreover, she just put down her body and begged for Little Dragon Girl. If she spoke again, she felt that she couldn't lose her old face. At this moment, Li Yuan's eyes flickered and he took the initiative to speak up and break free. Grandma's son, Miss Long, the rules of the ancient tomb only say that outsiders cannot stay in the tomb. But in fact, I can worship the tomb and become a disciple of the tomb. Grandma's son's eyes lit up when she heard Li Yuan say so. Yeah, back then, my grandmother Lin Chaoying only prohibited outsiders from entering the ancient tomb, especially men. But she didn't set a rule that the tomb couldn't accept men as apprentices. Miss Long, now that you are the head of the tomb, accepting an apprentice should not be excessive, right? Upon hearing her grandmother.in.law's words, Xiaolongnu's expression softened and she no longer felt cold. After all, she doesn't want to have a complete standoff with Grandma Sunday. In this ancient tomb, I do not know the changes of winter and summer, spring and autumn. Although the grandmother.in.law is only a servant, she is comparable to half of Little Dragon's mother. At this moment, Xiaolongnu turned her head and stared at Li Yuan. She asked softly, "Do you know that after joining the ancient tomb, there are many rules that need to be followed? And unless there are special circumstances such as a life or death crisis, you cannot leave the ancient tomb for life. You are still so young, but are you truly willing to join our Ancient Tomb Sect?" The implied meaning of Xiaolongnu is that she is afraid that Li Yuan will find this place boring, and she even believes that men like Li Yuan will not stay at the ancient tomb for a lifetime. But in fact, Li Yuan naturally wouldn't think so. As a traveler, he naturally knows the benefits of ancient tombs. There are not only the Jade Maiden Sutra left by Lin Chaoying and the fragments of the Nine Manual left by Wang Chongyang, but also good treasures such as a 1,000-year-old jade bed to practice internal skills. More importantly, the ancient tomb is located on the back mountain of the Quanzhen sect, with a unique terrain. Normally, no one would attack this place, making it a great place to stay away from the conflicts in the martial arts world and practice martial arts. As for the rule that one is not allowed to leave the ancient tomb for life. In fact, when Lin Chaoying founded the Ancient Tomb Sect, there was still a rule left behind, which was that when disciples of the Ancient Tomb Sect met someone they truly loved and were willing to sacrifice their lives for, they could also leave the tomb. Thinking of this, Li Yuan candidly said, "Miss Long looks like a fairy and is a rare beauty in the world. If I could be with you in this ancient tomb for a lifetime, wouldn't it be the most beautiful thing in the world? I can't even join the Ancient Tomb Sect in time, why would I think of going elsewhere?" Grandmother clearly did not expect Li Yuan, who looked young, to say such words. This not only naturally complimented little dragon girl, but also boldly demonstrated her determination. But when Xiaolongnu heard of it, her expression did not change much. After all, from childhood to adulthood, Xiaolongnu has almost never had contact with anyone except for Grandma's son, Li Mochou, and her master. Let alone talk about love and hate, she knows very little and doesn't understand the meaning behind Li Yuan's words. Then she said directly, "Since you want to worship me as a teacher, then you should call me a master in the future." "Okay, Master Xiaolong. Little dragon female master. You can directly call me Master Long. But I think calling you Master Long is a bit old-fashioned. Master, you are so young and not a few years older than me. I don't think this title is appropriate. Never mind, let's talk about this matter later. Grandma's son, take him to pay his respects first, then change into clothes and tidy up." Xiaolongnu's acceptance of apprenticeship today clearly disrupted her daily clean life. Her calm and fairy-like face showed a hint of contemplation, indicating that she was thinking about what to do next. After all, she is so big and it's also her first time becoming a master. But she also accepted Li Yuan as a cheap disciple. After the grandmother.in.law completed the apprenticeship process with Li Yuan in the ancient tomb, the system's prompt sound immediately came to her ears. Random task. Apprentice little dragon girl, complete. Task reward. 1 bronze treasure chest. P.S. The new book has been signed for internal submission. Readers can rest assured to collect and follow up on it. Follow up on the new book is very important for the author. Please read more books every day and I will ensure stable updates. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Ancient Tomb Sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Ancient Tomb Sect. There are many tomb passages and corridors, as well as various mechanisms in ancient tombs. Li Yuan, you must remember the path taken by Grandma's son and not get lost in it. Grandmother held a wax stand and used the faint candlelight to guide Li Yuan forward. Li Yuan is also striving to remember the various tomb passages and corridors, as well as various mechanisms within the ancient tomb. Although ancient tombs are unlikely to be invaded by others, remember that these roads are always right. After all, from now on, he will have to survive in the ancient tomb for a long time. Grandmother took Li Yuan to a tomb chamber. There is a stone bed and table inside the tomb, as well as 2 stone stools. Besides, it was empty and somewhat monotonous. Li Yuan knew in his heart that after all, this is an ancient tomb, a place of clean repair, and it is estimated that the tombs of other residents are also the same. But at this moment, Li Yuan's stomach began to growl. Li Yuan touched his head with a somewhat helpless expression. After crossing the country 3 days ago, he had only one meal in total, and as he approached the Zhongnan mountain, a farmer lady gave him half a nest. Quanzhen taught those old Bangzi, not to mention giving him something to eat, he didn't even give Li Yuan saliva. The grandmother.in.law heard Li Yuan's stomach scream and smiled kindly, "Wait, my mother.in.law will get you some food." After waiting for a moment, Li Yuan's grandmother came in with food in a stone dish and bowl. A bowl of hot congee, 2 side dishes, and a cup of jade honey. Although it may seem simple, it was actually carefully prepared by the grandmother.in.law, which is very suitable for Li Yuan's current state. It can help him quickly fill his stomach without hurting his digestive system. Grandmother looked at Li Yuan, who was devouring food like a wolf, with a hint of indulgence on her face. "Eat slowly, my mother.in.law will stew an old hen for you tomorrow to nourish your body." Although there is no field inside the ancient tomb, in order to have 3 meals a day, Grandma's son still built a small farming circle outside the tomb and fed a few chickens and ducks. Moreover, the ancient tomb is usually lacking in rice, flour, oil, salt, etc., and Grandma's son will also go down to the villages at the foot of the Zhongnan mountain to purchase them. After all, little dragon girl only looks like a fairy and is not a true fairy. She can clear the valley without eating, but still needs to eat and drink regularly. After dinner, Grandma's son took away the dishes and brought 2 sets of clean laundry, instructing Li Yuan to rest early. And Li Yuan lay on the stone bed, naturally without rest. Of course, Li Yuan is not staying up late, but because he wants to cultivate the 9-yang manual, which is rewarded by the system. He is not sure which version of the 9-yang manual was extracted from the bronze treasure chest. Because he had never been exposed to internal skills before and had no profound experience in the martial arts world. In the depths of his memory, Li Yuan's father Li Ao vaguely taught him some basic martial arts, but he was naturally playful and did not practice martial arts diligently. It wasn't until the moment the whole family was exterminated that they felt remorse, but they realized it was too late. For this experience, Li Yuan did not have much hatred in his heart. After all, the martial arts world is like this. More importantly, he has only traveled for less than 3 days, and it would be abnormal if he could deeply immerse himself in the feeling of a broken family and death. Li Yuan flipped through the 9-yang scriptures in his mind through his consciousness. He is as strong as he is, the clear wind brushes the mountains and hills. He is as horizontal as he is, and the bright moon shines on the river. He is ruthless, he is evil, and I am full of true energy. It seems that Li Yuan, who has never learned internal skills before, only feels dizzy and his eyes are gray. Although the stone bed was cold and hard, lying on it felt a bit uncomfortable. Li Yuan was really too tired. The ups and downs of these 3 days have already pushed his spirit to the limit of his physical body. Suddenly, drowsiness swept over him like a tide, and he fell asleep. "Get up." A clear and pleasant sound, but with some icy coldness, rang in Li Yuan's ear. He opened his eyes and saw that Xiaolongnu was standing in front of his bed, blinking a pair of big eyes and staring at him calmly. Li Yuanchang is so old, it's the first time he's been woken up by a beautiful woman. And standing in front of him was a beautiful woman who looked like a fairy. Just being stared at by Xiaolongnu with a blank gaze, Li Yuan continued to feel uncomfortable lying in bed. So he immediately got up. Quickly put on a clean outfit. "Good morning, Master Xiaolong." Xiaolongnu didn't have any nonsense and said directly, "Let's go and practice martial arts with me." After leading Li Yuan to the large tomb for practicing martial arts, little dragon girl frowned slightly and asked Li Yuan in a soft voice. She is also the first time she has become a master at this age. She thinks it's best to teach students according to their aptitude, so she wants to ask Li Yuan about his background. "Have you ever practiced any martial arts before?" Do you have any foundation in practicing? Li Yuan's eyes turned and he replied, I once practiced 1 or 2 leg and foot movements with my father before. My father also left me some family past internal skills, but I haven't practiced them yet. Li Yuan has the 9 Yang manual in his hand, as well as an unopened bronze treasure chest. In the future, if you encounter random tasks, you will also receive rewards, and various rewards will be given under the pretext of passing down internal skills. Xiaolongnu nodded calmly, and then she immediately started kneading Li Yuan's body. First are the arms, then the waist, and finally the thighs and calves. Li Yuan was completely touched by little dragon girl. He actually wanted to shout, disrespectful, and make fun of Xiaolongnu, but at this moment, Xiaolongnu is still a pure child. How could he understand that? Moreover, Li Yuan looked at Xiaolongnu's attitude seriously and carefully, as if he regarded himself as Li Yuan's elder. Li Yuan cancelled the idea of joking. After kneading Li Yuan's entire body, little dragon girl couldn't help but frown and say, although you have practiced some martial arts, your bones, flesh, and skin are extremely loose, and there is no trace of practicing martial arts. As for internal skills, there is none at all. The implication is that Li Yuan currently has no martial arts skills at all. She then said, since that's the case, then you can start practicing from scratch. The martial arts of the ancient tomb, including fist, palm, leg, finger, short weapon, long weapon, etc., are all extraordinary martial arts left by Lin Chaoying, the grandmother of the teacher. As a man, your body must be stronger, so start practicing from external skills. Li Yuan couldn't help but have thoughts in his heart when he heard that he wanted to start practicing external skills. There are many Chinese and foreign skills in the ancient tomb, and they are all left by Lin Chaoying. They are numerous and complicated, and it is not possible to get all the skills in a year or 2. On the contrary, it is internal skills. The ancient tomb contains not only the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra and the Millennium Ice Bed, but also the 9 Yin manual fragments left by Wang Chongyang. I have the 9 Yang Sutra on my hand, which can be compared with the 9 Yin manual fragments. If I start with internal skills, I will make much faster progress. With this in mind, Li Yuan said to Xiaolongnu, Master Xiaolongnu, I think we can start with practicing internal skills, but of course, I won't let go of external skills. Upon hearing what Li Yuan said, Xiaolongnu did not refuse. Sure, then I'll pass on your most basic internal mental technique from the ancient tomb. Starting today, you'll start practicing. After all, in her opinion, since Li Yuan is a disciple of the ancient tomb, both internal and external skills will have to be practiced sooner or later. Anyway, there are no other entertainment activities inside the ancient tomb. Li Yuan's next days, apart from eating and sleeping, should only rely on practicing martial arts to make a living. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Cultivating the 9 Yang Manual. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Cultivating the 9 Yang Manual. Xiaolongnu stood in front of Li Yuan and said calmly. The inner mind technique of the ancient tomb Jade Maiden is under the guidance of the ancestor of the Ancient Tomb Sect, Lin Chaoying. It is important to remember the 12 key points of both positive and negative movements, including the 12 little ones and 12 little ones. The key to the 12 xiaos is to think less, desire less, do less, speak less, laugh less, worry less, be less happy, be less angry, be less good, and be less evil. Practicing these 12 xiaos is the foundation of health preservation. The key to the 12 duo counter is to think too much, to disperse the essence, to desire too much, to be fatigued by too many things, to speak too much, to laugh too much, to be liver injured, to be worried too much, to be overjoyed too much, to be forgetful and confused too much, to be angry too much, to be focused and unable to cure too much, to be burned and unable to be peaceful too much. If these 12 duo are not eliminated, the root of death is also. Li Yuan is clear in his heart. The expression and emotions of Xiaolongnu, who is usually like an iceberg, are definitely influenced by the internal skill of Yunagong. After all, in the general outline of the pros and cons of the Jade Maiden Gong, it repeatedly mentions various things more and less, almost isolating all human desires. After all, from both the positive and negative perspectives, whatever you do will have its drawbacks. However, upon careful consideration, Li Yuan realized that it is not unreasonable. A person's lifespan is limited, but isn't it just that doing anything can be harmful? Anyway, they will all die. But the Jade Maiden technique in the Ancient Tomb is a prerequisite technique for the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra. In order to learn the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra in the future, this Jade Maiden technique must be practiced. At least getting started is necessary. Furthermore, Li Yuan had never been exposed to the cultivation of internal skills before. This was his first time practicing internal skills, so he honestly operated the internal skill mind method under the guidance of Little Dragon Girl and conducted training. Li Yuan feels that his martial arts talent is not strong. He came through time and knows the importance of strength. A person wandering in the rivers and lakes, how can they not be stabbed? But the martial arts world also has its benefits. As long as you have big fists and strong martial arts skills, no matter where you go, you will be respected by others. Li Yuan wants to become stronger and make others respect him. At least make the stinky Taoists led by Qiu Chuji of the Quanzhen Sect respect him. So when Li Yuan cultivates his internal skills, he is focused and meticulous. Xiaolongnu's heart is calm. She noticed that Li Yuan was extremely serious about his first encounter with internal skill cultivation, which made her couldn't help but admire him slightly. So she taught Li Yuan and became more patient and meticulous. For the next week, Li Yuan will repeat practicing the most basic Jade Maiden technique every day. Hard work pays off to those who have a heart. In the early morning of the second week, Li Yuan finally achieved a breakthrough from 0 to 1, successfully nurturing an internal force within the Dantian. Internal power is the internal breathing energy nurtured within the elixir field. Although he couldn't directly release the spiritual energy outside his body like in the cultivation world, after repeatedly practicing the Jade Maiden technique, Li Yuan was able to proficiently master the basic operation mode of internal power. Feeling the internal energy flowing through his meridians and acupoints, Li Yuan felt very excited. This is the feeling of power. After successfully entering the Jade Maiden of the Ancient Tomb, Little Dragon Girl also rarely took the initiative to appreciate Li Yuan. It's really rare to have learned the Jade Maiden technique in just 1 week. You are very talented in cultivating internal skills. Faced with such praise from Xiaolongnu. That night, Li Yuan immediately chose to switch to practicing the 9-yang manual. Although Jade Maiden skill is an internal skill created by Lin Chaoying, there is still a considerable gap compared to top-level internal skills such as the 9-yang manual, and this gap is not average. Cultivating internal skills is like filling a wine jar with wine. The elixir field is the wine jar, and internal strength is the wine in the wine jar. Since there is wine, there will be a distinction between high and low quality. There are Dukong wine, Zhuayiking wine, Daughter's red wine, Fengjiu wine and other good wines, and there are rice wine and other ordinary wines. The 9-yang scripture is like some precious century-old wine that remains fresh over time. And the Jade Maiden technique is just a basic internal skill of the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra, more like rice wine for ordinary people to drink. If Li Yuan hesitates which of these two cultivation methods he should cultivate, it is because his mind is short-circuited. Previously, when Li Yuan was reading the mind techniques of the 9-yang manual, he was confused and difficult to learn. But now that he has the foundation to cultivate the Jade Maiden technique, he begins to learn the 9-yang manual by following the mind techniques and mnemonics engraved in the system's mind. In the next few weeks, Li Yuan directly instructed Xiaolongnu to teach him the external skills of the Ancient Tomb, and at the same time, he alone comprehended the 9-yang manual at night. After spending a full month, Li Yuan's 9-yang manual finally got started. Although Li Yuan's internal power is still very limited, and there are only a few strands of internal power cultivated within a month in the elixir field, the internal power cultivated by the 9-yang manual is constantly growing, and once cultivated, it is clearly several times stronger than the internal power of the Jade Maiden technique. Moreover, the internal power obtained from practicing the 9-yang manual is full of yang qi, which can automatically protect the body and have miraculous effects such as dispelling cold and healing injuries. At present, Li Yuan's internal strength is still shallow, and these effects cannot be fully exerted. Or to put it another way, it is difficult to achieve significant results now. But this is also enough to satisfy Li Yuan. As long as he is given enough time and has the foundation of the 9-yang manual, he is bound to become a master of the martial arts world in the future. At the same time, Li Yuan also chose to open the bronze treasure chest he had obtained when completing the apprenticeship mission before. Bronze treasure chest opening, congratulations to the host, you have obtained one small pill, Xiaohuandan. Li Yuan's eyes twitched. As far as he knows, Xiaohuandan, as a pill from Shaolin, is a shortened version of Dahuandan. Dahuandan has the effect of reviving death, restoring injuries, and increasing internal power for many years. The effect of Xiaohuandan is estimated to be the same, as it can treat internal and external injuries and increase internal strength. Li Yuan really wants to swallow this small pill in one gulp now to enhance his internal strength. However, now he has been staying in the ancient tomb for less than a month. If he really took Xiaohuandan and increased his internal strength for several years, it will inevitably arouse suspicion from Xiaolongnu. Although little dragon girl is pure and kind, it is still not normal for her to suddenly increase her internal strength for several years in one night. When Xiaolongnu asked, the explanation was very complicated. Moreover, his internal skills have just started recently, and using external objects like Xiaohuandan to forcefully enhance his internal power may inevitably leave some sequelae. It's better to wait for my internal strength to mature a bit, and then find a suitable opportunity to take this small pill again. Li Yuan temporarily pressed the thought of taking Xiaohuandan, and then meditated to cultivate the 9-yang manual. At dawn, Xiaolongnu went to Li Yuan's tomb as usual to wake him up and practice martial arts, which has almost become Xiaolongnu's new daily habit. Li Yuan is also gradually adapting to this kind of life in the ancient tomb. As usual, after seeing Li Yuan open her eyes, Xiaolongnu expressed her intention to come. You have been practicing the Tianjiao Azure Sky Body Technique and Tianluo Earth Network Palm Technique for over a month now. Today, I will come to test your progress. Tianjiao Azure Sky is an introductory lightness skill for ancient tombs. The Tianluoduang technique is an advanced palm technique that extends from the soft net style of the entry-level palm technique in ancient tombs. During this month, Xiaolongnu mainly taught Li Yuan these two martial arts. Now she obviously wants to test Li Yuan's martial arts training progress, and then provide specific guidance based on Li Yuan's progress. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Quanzhen Teaching Important People. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Quanzhen Teaching Important People. In the large tomb chamber. Li Yuan's figure constantly shuttles between the tomb passages, sometimes bouncing around and sometimes transforming into a startled flying figure. After a month of training by Li Yuan, the entry-level body method of Tianjiao Blue Sky, a set of ancient tombs, has now been fully mastered. In addition, he has just converted to the 9-yang manual and has the internal power of the 9-yang in his body. So although Li Yuan's current performance may not be considered shocking, he can still receive an excellent evaluation from Little Dragon Girl. Not bad, although Tianjiao Azure Sky is an entry-level lightness skill and body technique for ancient tombs, it also requires a certain level of talent for martial artists to enter. You can reach this level in less than a month, which is a rare martial arts genius. Xiaolongnu spoke frankly, and her praise and admiration were more like a statement of a fact. However, Li Yuan is now blessed by the 9-yang manual, and fundamentally speaking, he is indeed a martial arts genius. After Li Yuan completed a complete set of Tianjiao Azure Sky body techniques, she personally stepped down to test Li Yuan's Tianluoduwang palm technique. Master Xiaolong, your fists have no eyes, you must be careful. Looking at the little dragon girl standing in front of him, Li Yuanping remained calm and then suddenly exerted his strength, stepping on the ground with one foot and slapping her in the crucial position of her heart. The Tianluoduwang technique is originally an incredibly dense palm technique, combined with the ancient tomb's lightness skills and body techniques. It is graceful and agile, with countless changes, making it a combination of martial arts moves. Cultivate to the highest level and be able to capture 9,981 sparrows with both palms. Li Yuan has also practiced with sparrows these days, but he can only catch 3 or 4 sparrows at most. Little Dragon Girl can achieve the skill of having at least 10 sparrows between her 2 palms. Faced with a crucial slap from Li Yuan towards the heart, Xiaolongnu's expression was extremely calm, just like before. She had a simple and delicate hand, and her left jade palm extended out, hitting between Li Yuan's palms, blocking the direction of Li Yuan's palm. 2 palms facing each other. At this moment, Li Yuan could only feel the delicate palms of little dragon girl, her skin delicate and boneless. But it is such a soft palm that can tightly grip the palm technique he hits, eliminating his palm power invisibly. Hiss, this hand is really soft. Feeling that Li Yuan's mind was not on the palm technique, Xiaolongnu raised her eyebrows and eyes slightly, then turned her left hand and landed a palm in Li Yuan's palm. At this moment, she did not use her internal strength, but instead used 50.6% of her strength to concentrate on hitting Li Yuan's palm. Li Yuan suddenly felt a pain in his palm, as if he had been fiercely stung by a jade bee from an ancient tomb. Xiaolongnu pointed out, if you're like this, your arms may be disabled when you encounter enemies with malicious intentions in the future. Li Yuan laughed heartily and immediately became serious. After all, he doesn't want to be a one-armed hero like Yang Guo. Xiao Zhua and Xiao Yu are both good brothers who have accompanied him for many years, how can he abandon one of them? After Li Yuan became serious, he still had some advantages. After all, he is a man, and his strength is naturally greater than that of a woman. Although Xiaolongnu is a martial arts prodigy, she is a woman, and in addition, Xiaolongnu is actually no more than 1 or 2 years older than Li Yuan, so her strength is smaller. Moreover, at this point, her goal was only to check Li Yuan's martial arts progress, so she only used her left palm to feed Li Yuan with moves, without using her internal power or other moves. Li Yuan surprisingly played 2 or 3 complete sets of heaven, earth, and net palm techniques with little dragon girl like this. It was not until Li Yuan had fully mastered the technique of the heavenly and earthly nets palm technique that little dragon girl accepted her move and stopped in front of Li Yuan. She lightly commented, "You have already mastered the Tianjiao Azure Sky body method, but you still lack some fire in the Tianluo and Diwang palm technique. However, even so, you have already performed very well and can be considered to have a strong martial arts talent. Compared to Master Xiaolong, I am still far behind." Xiaolongnu shook her head slowly and said calmly, "No, your performance is better than mine. When I first started using the heaven and earth nets palm technique, it seemed like it took me 3 months. Li Yuan hesitated for a moment before asking, "Excuse me, Master, how old were you at that time?" "It seems like 8 years old. Maybe even earlier. I can't remember clearly either." Li Yuan's mouth twitched, and little dragon girl was truly a natural martial arts prodigy. Before the age of 8, she could learn the heaven, earth, and net palm technique. If it weren't for this being just a martial arts world, she might not have been able to practice to any extent in the future. At this point, Xiaolongnu said, "Since you have already mastered the Tianjiao Azure Sky and Tianluo Earth Network palm techniques, starting from tomorrow, I will teach you other external skills such as fist, leg, and sword techniques from the Ancient Tomb. As a disciple of the Ancient Tomb, these are all skills that need to be practiced." A month has passed. Xiaolongnu's expression seemed as cold and quiet as ever. But some things have actually undergone changes in the process of tacit transfer. She has gradually accepted Li Yuan as her disciple. Although Li Yuan's personality and performance may seem somewhat unconventional in the eyes of little dragon girl, he also shows great adaptability to the ancient tomb. In a month, he never said anything about the boredom inside the ancient tomb. This actually makes Xiaolongnu very pleased. She gradually realized that accepting Li Yuan as an apprentice was not a wrong decision. As for Li Yuan, his idea is actually very simple. The ancient tomb is so safe, accompanied by little dragon girl practicing martial arts every day, and not worried about food and clothing, it is simply a paradise for unlimited development. As for wandering the world and seeking revenge, it's not too late to wait until the world is invincible before doing it. However, if Li Yuan does not trouble others now, it does not mean that others will not come to trouble Li Yuan. Zhao Zijing, who returned to Quanzhen Sect, has been feeling a bit upset these days. Qiu Chuji had previously sent him to escort Li Yuan to the back mountain to establish the Yiguan tomb, but after returning, he was the only one left. There is only one road from Quanzhen Sect to the forbidden area in the back mountain. Even discerning people can tell that Zhao Zijing lost Li Yuan. Faced with Qiu Chuji's questioning, Zhao Zijing could only put his hat on the head of the Ancient Tomb Sect. After all, it has been leaked that he wants to kill a younger generation like Li Yuan. Even if his master Wang Chui can let him go, Qiu Chuji, who has a strong and upright personality, will definitely be the first to clean up the door. Qiu Chuji ordered Zhao Zijing to bring Li Yuan back from the ancient tomb as soon as possible. Li Yuan's father, Li Ao, had some friendship with Wang Chongyang back then, no matter what. Li Yuan came to Quanzhen Sect to pay his respects, and Qiu Chuji's failure to accept Li Yuan to avoid trouble was already heartless. If Li Yuan encounters any major problems in the territory of Zhongnan Mountain, how will the Quanzhen Sect, which claims to be the world's top righteous path, be maintained? How should many disciples under our sect view him as an elder? Under the dead command of Qiu Chuji, Zhao Zijing had no choice but to grit his head and bring more than 10 third-generation disciples of the Quanzhen Sect, including Zhen Jibing, Li Zhichang, and Cui Zhifang, to the gate of the forbidden area of the ancient tomb once again to demand Li Yuan. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. New Tasks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 8. Millennium Cold Jade Bed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Millennium Cold Jade Bed. Xiaolongnu led Li Yuan towards a tomb passage deep in the ancient tomb. This tomb passage is very hidden, with 7 or 8 passages along the way, as well as 3 or 4 stone mechanisms connected. Behind the stone mechanism, there are many branching paths hidden. Moreover, these branching roads are often located in the dark corners of the ancient tomb. Li Yuan stayed inside the tomb for over a month and has never seen the entrance of these roads with his own eyes. Li Yuan is usually very confident in his sense of direction. But as he followed Xiaolongnu all the way down, he felt a bit dizzy and disoriented. After a moment, Xiaolongnu stopped and led Li Yuan to a separate stone chamber. Before Li Yuan could approach, he felt a chill coming towards him. Although the Tomb of the Living Dead is a stone tomb buried in the Zhongnan mountain, after the renovation of Wang Chongyang and Lin Chaoying, most of the passages in the ancient tomb are well ventilated and have a suitable temperature, making it very suitable for living. And the stone chamber in front of this seems much colder than other parts of the ancient tomb, with a cold air even permeating through the stone walls. At this moment, Li Yuan had already guessed what little dragon girl wanted to show him. A 1,000-year-old cold jade bed. According to Li Yuan's original plan, it is estimated that Xiaolongnu will take him a long time to practice martial arts on the cold jade bed. After all, his internal skills have just started, and he only has 1 or 2 strands of internal power in the elixir field. In addition, the cold jade bed is also a precious treasure of the ancient tomb, which is as precious as the treasure of the Ancient Tomb Sect. It has not yet reached the level of contact. But after today's incident, Xiaolongnu seems to have paid more attention to Li Yuan. That is to say, Xiaolongnu has truly accepted me as a disciple from the bottom of her heart and wants me to practice internal skills on the cold jade bed. Accompanied by Li Yuan's thoughts. Xiaolongnu slowly pushed open the door of this stone chamber, and a cold mist visible to the naked eye, like fine white snow, blew out along the threshold of the stone chamber. The cold mist turned into steam and dissipated in the cracks of the stone bricks. The two entered the stone chamber. This stone chamber is very spacious, and in the center of it is a white jade bed emitting a faint chill. Xiaolongnu opened her mouth and said, "This is a jade bed made of millennium-old cold jade from the extremely cold land of the north gifted by her great-grandmother Lin Chaoying to Wang Chongyang. It is an excellent tool for cultivating internal skills. From today on, you will sleep here and practice internal skills." In Li Yuan's eyes, the cold jade bed was like a rectangular large ice block, square in all directions, constantly emitting cold air from the bed. Although he had seen the divine eagle heroes and knew that there was such a divine jade bed in the ancient tomb, seeing it with his own eyes was another matter. However, the temperature inside this stone chamber is also too low. Li Yuan had just stood in the room for a moment when his hair had frozen into strands, and his eyebrows had turned into 2 strands of white frost. This cold jade bed is also too cold. The temperature inside this stone chamber is going to drop to over -30 degrees. I'm sitting on that cold jade bed, won't it freeze me on it? Thinking of this, Li Yuan couldn't help but shiver. However, Li Yuan clearly overthought this question. The Hanyu bed is an exquisite jade. Although there are threads of cold air entangled on it, it is extremely smooth and does not touch any water. It is a rare treasure. Xiaolongnu seemed to be afraid that Li Yuan wouldn't dare to practice on the cold jade bed when she saw Li Yuan's reaction. So she explained on the side, there are 2 benefits to sleeping on this cold jade bed. Firstly, practicing internal skills on this cold jade bed is worth several years for others. Secondly, when practicing internal skills, one should avoid getting demonic. Therefore, when practicing martial arts, half of the energy is used to fight against the heart fire. This cold jade is the most yin and cold thing in the world. Sitting and lying on it, the heart fire is clear, and when practicing, one can be brave and progressive, not afraid of future troubles. Since you let me go to bed to practice martial arts, Master, I naturally want to do it. Xiaolongnu still reminded Li Yuandao, when you first go to the cold jade bed to practice martial arts, the extreme cold is unbearable and you need to adapt more. You don't need to force yourself, try to use your internal skills as much as possible to resist the cold, and it will naturally have a miraculous effect. If you can't persist, get out of bed and move your muscles and bones, and try going up. Li Yuan nodded and in the next moment, he was already in large letters, lying flat on the cold jade bed. Xiaolongnu couldn't help but frown slightly when she saw Li Yuan's move. When she first practiced on a cold jade bed, she started practicing sitting to avoid a large influx of cold air. She adapted to it for a long time until the Jade Maiden achieved great success and dared to lie flat on the cold jade bed. Li Yuan has only been practicing internal skills for less than a month now. Just as he has been exposed to internal skills, he dares to lie flat on the cold jade bed. She instinctively felt that Li Yuan would jump up from the cold jade bed in the next moment because he couldn't bear the cold. But Li Yuan lay very peacefully on the cold jade bed, motionless, as steady as an old dog. One moment 2/4 not moving at all. The internal power cultivated from the 9 yang manual itself carries a strong yang energy, which effectively suppresses yin and cold energy. So starting from Li Yuan's operation of the 9 yang scriptures, a series of cold energies were forced back by him, unable to invade his body at all. Even if 1 or 2 colds enter the body through the pores of the skin, they will quickly be melted by the 9 yang internal power. In addition, the 9 yang internal power has a never-ending effect, and the cold energy constantly emanating from the cold jade bed forms a unique cycle with Li Yuan's 9-yang internal power. Every time a certain amount of cold energy emerges from the cold jade bed, the 9-yang internal skill will activate an additional small Zhutian and automatically resist it. Li Yuan lay on the cold jade bed, operating his internal skills, and could almost always see the progress of his internal skills. As Little Dragon Girl said, practicing internal skills on this cold jade bed is like 1,000 miles in a day. And you don't have to worry about getting addicted to the devil, you can completely let go of your mind and practice without any worries. This cold jade bed is definitely a treasure in the world of divine sculptures. At this moment, Xiaolongnu saw that Li Yuan had completely adapted to the cold jade bed, and a hint of shock couldn't help but appear in her eyes. She originally thought that Li Yuan's external skill talent was excellent, but she didn't expect that Li Yuan's internal skill talent seemed to far exceed the level of external skills, reaching an unprecedented level in her eyes. She secretly speculated that even Wang Chongyang and Lin Chaoying did not exhibit such behavior as Li Yuan when they were young. Now because Li Yuan has not been practicing the 9-yang manual for a long time, her internal strength has not yet been fully manifested, so Little Dragon Girl cannot see the way. In the future, when Li Yuan's internal strength solidifies, she will naturally find that the reason why he was able to practice for a long time on the cold jade bed for the first time is due to the special nature of his martial arts. However, Li Yuan has just reached the level of internal power cultivation, and there is still a long way to go before the internal power solidifies and takes shape. Moreover, since the cultivation of the 9-yang manual, Li Yuan has already thought of using family-inherited internal skills as an explanation. After all, he and Little Dragon Girl still have to practice martial arts every day, and it is inevitable that they will find out that the internal skills he cultivates are not Jade Girl skills. After seeing that Li Yuan was doing nothing on the cold jade bed, she stopped bothering him to practice and went back to her own stone room to rest. And Li Yuan's practice career in the ancient tomb can be considered as officially entering a relatively stable stage. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Li Mochou. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Li Mochou. Spring comes and summer goes, autumn goes and winter solstice goes. Quietly, Li Yuan's first year in Zhongnan Mountain passed. Time always passes very quickly when it is full. During this year, he persisted in practicing martial arts every day. In the morning, practice martial arts such as Tianjiao Blue Sky, Tianluo Earth Network, and combining ancient tomb likeness skills. In the afternoon, it is time to practice external skills such as swordsmanship in ancient tombs. As for the evening, Li Yuan did not rest either. Throughout the year, he spent his evenings practicing the 9-yang manual on a cold jade bed. Every day's life is full and fulfilling. During this year, Li Yuan found that the increasing effect of the cold jade bed on cultivating internal power would gradually decrease, and it would not endlessly enhance the martial artist's internal power. In the first few months, Li Yuan practiced on the cold jade bed and could feel that the cold jade bed had a very significant effect on his internal power improvement, even reaching 12 times the effect at one point. But as several months passed, his body began to fully adapt to the cold around the cold jade bed, and the effect of doubling his internal power cultivation slowed down. By now, Li Yuan's cultivation on the cold jade bed has only achieved 2 or 3 times the effect. However, Li Yuan was not surprised by this. If the cold jade bed can provide martial artists with an unlimited progress of more than 10 times in internal skill cultivation. That little dragon girl grew up in the ancient tomb since she was young. According to her age, she should be invincible in the world by now. The practice effects of the cold jade bed are ultimately limited. During this year, Li Yuan made every effort to push his internal power cultivation to the level of about 7 years. After 7 years of internal strength, Li Yuan vaguely felt that he had touched the stage of Xiaocheng in the 9-yang manual. So, as the new year approached, Li Yuan took the small pill and wanted to use its internal power to completely break through the 9-yang manual to the level of Xiaocheng. Xiaolongnu added about 5 years of internal strength to him, and in total, Li Yuan's internal strength reached the level of 12 years. However, despite 12 years of internal strength, Li Yuan still couldn't break through the 9-yang manual to the level of Xiaocheng, which made him feel a bit regretful. I should have missed some understanding of the 9-yang scripture. Although my internal strength can be quickly mastered, my understanding of the 9-yang scripture only took me 1 year. Let's take it slow. Li Yuan's practice of the 9-yang manual was naturally discovered by Little Dragon Girl. However, Li Yuan said that this is an internal skill passed down from family, and Little Dragon Girl didn't think there was any problem. After all, before Li Yuan joined the Ancient Tomb, he had already told Grandma's son about his background. Although Li Ao, the father of Li Yuan's generation, has passed away, he is still a person who can have a friendship with Wang Chongyang, and his strength is definitely not inferior. Xiaolongnu has a calm personality and is not a martial arts enthusiast, so she naturally did not ask Li Yuan about the content of the 9-yang manual. If internal skills like Quanzhen Sect are discovered, then it is uncertain what will happen. Recently, there is another thing that has been more concerning to Xiaolongnu than the growth of Li Yuan's strength. That's their height. When Li Yuan first joined the Ancient Tomb, she was shorter than Little Dragon Girl. Under the high-intensity martial arts training of this year, Li Yuan's height continued to rise with age and the stimulation of sports. Li Yuan is now half a head taller than Xiaolongnu and is still growing. Xiaolongnu appeared slightly helpless about this. She has passed the age of growing a head, but Li Yuan is now 16 or 17 years old, and she will definitely grow again in the future. She, who is indifferent to everything, has been really concerned about this matter recently. It is absolutely true that those who are close to Zhu are red and those who are close to Mo are black. Especially in this ancient tomb, Little Dragon Girl often interacts with Li Yuan during her martial arts practice, and has also developed some traces of Li Yuan's ordinary and vulgar demeanor. With the company of Li Yuan, Xiaolongnu's personality has become much more lively than before. There are more thoughts in my heart than usual. But this also means that her relationship with Li Yuan is becoming closer. It's just that Xiaolongnu is not sure yet. Life in the ancient tomb is calm and orderly. At night, Li Yuan is still practicing internal skills, striving to break through the small stage of the 9-yang manual as soon as possible. He just suddenly had to pee urgently and wanted to go to the bathroom, so he hurriedly ran out of the stone room. But at this moment, Li Yuan suddenly saw a figure flickering through the tomb passage of the ancient tomb. Did you experience hallucinations after staying up late to practice for a long time? This is naturally impossible. As he practiced, Li Yuan only felt his 5 senses becoming more sensitive, far exceeding those of ordinary people. Since my eyes have caught a figure, it must be someone breaking into the ancient tomb. Li Yuan was immediately taken aback. The various passages in the ancient tomb are complex and unpredictable, and only Little Dragon Girl and Grandma's son know about them. How could outsiders dare to break in? Li Yuan then quietly followed along the direction where the figure disappeared. However, just as Li Yuan walked past a corner of the tomb passage, a bright silver needle was pressed against his neck. This silver needle has long and short fingers, but it appears as if it is cast in ice, giving off a transparent appearance. Li Yuan raised his head and looked at the owner holding a silver needle. Standing in front of him was a snow-white, outstanding-looking Taoist nun with a cold expression and a proud figure. She was dressed in an apricot-yellow Taoist robe and stood in the dark, looking at Li Yuan with a cold expression. Hee, junior sister, this slut. I didn't expect that after I left the ancient tomb for a few years, she found a wild man outside and entered the tomb. Upon hearing the words, junior sister, and looking at the appearance of the Taoist nun in front of him, Li Yuan understood in his heart. This should be the senior sister of Xiaolongnu, the red training fairy Li Mochou. So Li Yuan seized the opportunity and pretended not to know her identity. He spoke up and asked, I am a disciple of the Ancient Tomb Sect, Li Yuan. I wonder what the origin of this beautiful sister is. How dare she sneak into the ancient tomb? Beautiful sister. Li Yuan, a disciple of the Ancient Tomb Sect. Upon hearing Li Yuan's words, Li Mochou raised his eyebrows slightly and then asked in response, "Who did you worship as a teacher? Is it difficult to say that she is the little dragon girl?" I am studying under the guidance of little dragon girl. What about you, beautiful sister? Who is your sect? What sect and school? Li Mochou sneered and said, "Kid, according to your status, you should call me Shibua." Upon hearing Li Mochou's words, Li Yuan's expression suddenly brightened and he said, "It turns out that the beautiful sister is Master Li Mochou. I often hear Master talk about you, but I didn't expect you to be so young and beautiful. You are simply a fairy descending to earth, making people admire you." Humph, that slick-tongued kid. Although Li Mochou said so, the corner of his mouth slightly curled up, revealing a hint of laughter. After all, Li Yuan is a disciple of Xiaolongnu and has been referred to as beautiful sister multiple times, which makes it difficult for her to be ruthless towards Li Yuan. "I don't know why Master Li came. Do you want to celebrate the Chinese New Year with us?" "Of course not." Li Mochou looked at Li Yuan, who looked beautiful in front of him, and directly stated her purpose. "I came to the ancient tomb for the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra of the ancient tomb." End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Threats. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Threats. Li Mochou directly stated his purpose. After hearing this, Li Yuan also understood in his heart. Li Mochou has been betraying the ancient tomb for many years. She is known as the Red Training Fairy. Although her face is like a fairy, her heart is extremely cruel, and her methods are even more cruel. If she is unwilling, she will start killing, and even destroy everyone. From elderly people in their 70s and 80s to children in need of nourishment, as long as they don't like it, they can all be killed by pain. It is truly like a red practice venomous snake, extremely beautiful, yet carrying deadly poison. Li Mochou couldn't have returned to the ancient tomb to reminisce with little dragon girl. Since she was hurt by love, her personality has changed greatly, and it can be said that she is no longer the senior sister that little dragon girl knows. If it weren't for Li Yuan's sweet mouth just now and his first declaration of identity as a disciple of the ancient tomb, perhaps Li Mochou would have inserted the ice soul silver needle into his throat long ago. Li Mochou pressed Li Yuan against the wall corner and whispered, "Do you know the content of the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra?" Li Yuan naturally shook his head. The Jade Maiden Heart Sutra is the ultimate skill of the Ancient Tomb Sect and also the fastest lightness skill in the world. This martial arts technique was created by Lin Chaoying in order to counter Wang Chongyang's Quanzhen sect internal martial arts, so he took a different approach and needed two people to practice together. Li Yuan is unaware of the content of the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra. After all, as far as Li Yuan knows, even little dragon girl herself has not yet practiced the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra. Not to mention him. But it's not that Xiaolongnu doesn't want to practice, but practicing the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra requires some conditions and steps. The first step in practicing the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra is to cultivate the martial arts of the Ancient Tomb Sect, including both internal and external skills. The second step is to practice Quanzhen sect martial arts, including both internal and external skills. The third step is to cultivate the martial arts of the Ancient Tomb Sect to counter the martial arts of the Quanzhen sect. This is a complete set of martial arts techniques, and ultimately requires two people to practice internal skills such as Yin retreat and Yang advancement. There are various internal and external martial arts little dragon maidens in the ancient tomb, but the internal and external martial arts little dragon maidens of Quanzhen sect do not know, and she has no plans to seize them. After all, she doesn't indulge in worldly pleasures and doesn't have such a strong pursuit of martial arts. However, Li Yuan already possesses the 9 Yang manual and has not even achieved any success in it. Naturally, he would not pursue little dragon girl to cultivate the Jade Maiden Heart manual. Although practicing the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra can strengthen the bond between him and little dragon girl, Li Yuan still understands the truth that greed cannot be chewed down. Li Yuan plans to wait until he breaks through the 9-yang manual to the level of Xiaocheng before considering this matter. Li Mochou is different from Li Yuan and Xiaolongnu. Li Yuan and Xiaolongnu live deep in the ancient tomb, and time is peaceful. She is stirring the wind and rain in the martial arts world, causing harm everywhere and causing trouble everywhere. Li Mochou is well aware of the importance of strength to her. A few days ago, she was besieged by several righteous experts in the martial arts world, and it took her all her skills to escape from the siege. If she can obtain the highest martial arts of the Ancient Tomb Sect and learn the top-level lightness and internal skills, according to her talent, she may not be able to reach the level of the 5 wonders after several years of cultivation. When the time comes, one can roam the rivers and lakes, even if they are defeated, they can easily escape. So she is very eager for the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra. She didn't trust Li Yuan very much, so she forced her to ask again, how could she not pass on your Jade Girl Heart Sutra when you became a disciple of Xiaolongnu? Li Yuan reluctantly replied, Master Li, it's only been a little over a year since I became a disciple. How could I possibly learn the highest martial arts of my sect? Moreover, the name of the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra is not serious, and it's probably just a second-rate martial arts book at most. Upon hearing Li Yuan's words, Li Mochou frowned slightly. She scolded softly, what do you know, you stinky kid? That's the highest martial arts from the ancient tomb left by Lin Chaoying. Of course, there's a beauty in it that you dare to look down on. Li Mochou's current mentality is very wonderful. Although I have not obtained the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra, I absolutely cannot let others mention its shortcomings. Li Yuan shrugged his shoulders, and then said very generously, Uncle Li, it's just a skill. You'd better ask the master for it directly. After all, you are a pair of sisters. How about making such a fuss for a skill? After all, the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra is not in Li Yuan's hands, so he can say whatever he wants. If Li Mochou's visit is for the 9-yang scripture, then Li Yuan should exert all his strength now and meet her in life and death. Upon hearing Li Yuan's words, Li Mochou was quite surprised and glanced up and down at him. After all, Li Yuan's attitude towards the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra does not seem to be as precious as that of little dragon girl, but rather very generous. This attitude made Li Mochou doubt whether Li Yuan was a disciple of the ancient tomb. She then shook her head and said, the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra is related to the orthodox inheritance of the Ancient Tomb Sect. I broke the rules of the Ancient Tomb Gate before and left the tomb without permission. I am considered a traitor to the ancient tomb. With normal means, Xiaolongnu will never give me the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra, so. So what? I was planning to kidnap Grandma's son on this trip, thinking it was a blackmail to make little dragon girl obediently hand over the Jade Girl Heart Sutra. However, Grandma's son has some martial arts skills, and implementing this plan carries a greater risk. Today, the heavens have made it easy for me to catch you, little dragon girl's disciple. So I took you as a hostage and asked little dragon girl to hand over the Jade Girl Heart Sutra. Li Mochou said this and turned around Li Yuan with one hand. She touched Li Yuan's acupoint with one hand, sealing his internal force. After tapping the acupoint, he confidently put away the ice soul silver needle in his hand and grabbed Li Yuan's arm with both hands as he walked forward. She thought that Li Yuan's internal strength was sealed. However, in reality, the cultivation of the 9-yang manual generates a continuous stream of 9-yang internal power, and now Li Yuan has a solid 12-year internal power foundation. As long as he is willing, he can instantly break through this acupoint that has been pointed. Li Mochou kidnapped Li Yuan and walked to the largest stone chamber in the ancient tomb. At the same time, she activated her internal power and shouted loudly, little dragon girl, come out quickly. Your disciple Li Yuan is in my hands. If you don't want him to die, you can give me the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra. Her crisp voice quickly spread throughout the entire ancient tomb along the tomb passage. Upon hearing the commotion, Xiaolongnu and her grandmother Law rushed here immediately. Xiaolongnu looked at Li Yuan, who was being held hostage by Li Mochou, with a rare expression of concern. She looked at Li Mochou and asked with a complex expression, "Senior sister, haven't you seen me in a few years? Is that how you treat me, senior sister?" Faced with Xiaolongnu's questioning, Li Mochou showed no mercy. "Humph, I won't say anything else today. Quickly give me the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra, and I'll let you go as a disciple." Faced with such a situation, little dragon girl undoubtedly fell into hesitation. Li Yuan is her disciple, and this whole year of contact has made her accustomed to Li Yuan's company. Li Yuan has become an indispensable part of the ancient tomb today. The Jade Maiden Heart Sutra is the highest martial arts of ancient tombs. Giving it to Li Mochou, a traitor of the ancient tomb, is equivalent to leaking the inheritance of the ancient tomb and becoming the culprit of the tomb. Li Mochou urged at this moment, "Junior sister, please hand over the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra as soon as possible. My patience is limited." End of this chapter.